My name is Jim Doman, and I came out of the homosexual lifestyle June 8th, 2002. I struggled with same-sex attraction ever since I was 13 years old. I didn't know what to do. I prayed, I tried to change, and the desire never went away. I went into the homosexual lifestyle in 1999. I was so desperate. I really wanted to love and be loved, and the person that I connected with was HIV positive and hepatitis C positive. And I didn't even care because I wanted to be loved and love someone. It was on June 8th, 2002 that my partner and I got in a big fight. He kicked me out of the house. He switched all of our bank accounts, so I had no access to cash or money. And it was that night in Palm Springs, California. Had no money, in an apartment all by myself. No air conditioning. It's over 100 degrees outside. I looked up at the ceiling and I said, God, I'm yours again. And the next morning I woke up, again, I didn't have any money, and I said, well, I still had a gym membership, so I was on my way to the gym, and as I walked on the sidewalk, $5 was laying on the sidewalk. And I picked it up and I said, this is a miracle. I went out and had breakfast, and from that morning on, God kept doing miracle after miracle after miracle. And homosexuality just doesn't leave you, or at least it didn't leave me. I still struggled with it, but yet I wanted to live differently. I wanted a different type of a life. And I really, down deep since I was a kid, I wanted to have a family. I wanted to be married, but didn't think it could be possible if I was attracted to my own gender. So as I journeyed on a path of recovery, professional counseling, and trying to change my same-sex attraction towards women, I started dating about 5 years later, but wasn't finding the right woman. I dated tall, fat, short, skinny, all different types, and it wasn't until 2008 that I'm writing a book called The Divine Mistake, that the university I attended, Azusa Pacific University, had mailed my diploma for my Master of Divinity. I was pursuing my master's degree to the wrong address. And that's when I met my beautiful wife, now wife. I drove to the university to pick up my diploma, and the woman who met me behind the counter said, why don't you take it out and read it? So I read my diploma. I said, this is a miracle. I said, I came out of the homosexual lifestyle. I just bought my first home. I'm a pastor, and now my Master of Divinity. And she said, it sounds like God has restored the years the locusts have eaten. After that, I looked into her eyes, I saw Jesus, and I said, hey, I got her number and married her 9 months later. And we have 3 children right now. I love being married to my wife and a father to my daughter, who's 4, my son, who is 2, and our newborn, who's 3 months old. So growing up with same-sex attraction, everybody comes from a dysfunctional family. I would say my family was more on the side of functioning. My dad was an LA County sheriff, my mom a librarian. I was the oldest of 2 other kids. But there was a disconnect between my dad and I really believe same-sex desire, homosexuality, stems from a legitimate need to connect with your biological father or your father figure in your life. And my dad and I just never really connected growing up. And so that yearning to connect is real, is legitimate, but it becomes sexualized when you hit puberty. And so that need was never met as a child and growing up, and you're too young to understand developmentally what's going on. There's a term called defensive detachment disorder, and that means if at some point during my developmental years, ages between, let's say, 2 and 4, something may have happened between my dad and I, and so that created a shift that I never connected with him. And so that yearning, that bonding to connect with my own gender became sexualized when I hit puberty at 13, or around the age of 13. So in high school, I was still same-sex attracted and didn't know what to do with that. I wanted to live a moral life and tried to do what was right, but didn't know how to, was working to understand how do you have a girlfriend if you're attracted to your own gender. And although I dated in high school and college, I still had these same-sex attractions that kind of interfered with that. And so, although I really desired to be with a woman, I was still attracted to my own gender. What helped me kind of navigate that was psychological counseling, professional counseling, to understand developmental issues between the father figure or the father in my life, my dad, and understanding that defensive detachment, understanding or trying to pursue masculinity, being more connected with the feminine side instead of the masculine side. So being a father is an absolutely amazing thing that I saw the own brokenness in my life or growing up, not connecting with my dad. And I've been really intentional with my kids to not only spend time with them, but to come alongside at all stages of their lives and affirm the giftings and what they have and how God has created them, and to walk and journey with them. So I'm really intentional to spend individual time with each of my 3 children, as well as kind of as family time together, and being a father figure to them, as my wife obviously is the mother figure, and really connecting at their levels emotionally and meeting their emotional needs as they're growing during their informative years. So how do you overcome same-sex attraction? I think there's a variety of things. I think one most important is God, your walk with God and knowing God. That's helpful, as well as finding a professional counselor or pastor who'd be willing to journey with you to help unearth or understand some of the root issues of what's causing same-sex attraction. I'll say the culture, the media, the world will say you're born this way, you cannot change. That's a lie. Anybody can change, and you still might be same-sex attracted, but you do not have to act out on those impulses or those desires. You can still pursue healthy, whole heterosexuality, as physically our bodies are created to procreate and have children. And so if you're struggling right now and you want to change, change is possible. A support group is really helpful as well, and if you can get involved in a men's group, if you're a male, if you're a female, get involved in a female group. And some people might say, well, isn't that contradictory? Why are you going to go hang out with a bunch of men if you're attracted to men? Well, men act like men, real masculine men, and they can help teach you what men do. Conversely, females act like females, and they're going to portray femininity. And if you're same-sex attracted, you can meet some of those legitimate needs with your own gender in non-sexual physical ways. So my family life has been instrumental in my healing and recovery process. I was able to, as a grown adult, move back with my mom and dad at the age of 28. And living with them for another 4 or 5 years, I was able to restore my relationship between my dad and I was never sexually abused. Many same-sex strugglers have had sexual things done to their body. That was not the case for me, but I was able to, in that part of my life, kind of restore, reconnect with my dad, have the sex talk at the age of 30, and really try to do some of the things that I didn't experience as a young man, as an adult, to kind of restore some of those years that the locust had eaten or didn't happen to me. So that was really instrumental, I believe, in my healing journey. If you're listening to this and say, well, I don't have a dad or I'm adopted, well, there are other male figures who can be a father figure to you. If it's a teacher, a counselor, a pastor, a trusted friend that might be older than you, that could speak into your life, and you could seek healthy masculine input into your life and to connect with the true masculine. Sure, so yeah, I was attracted to my wife. When I first saw my wife, she was beautiful, and when I looked into her eyes, I saw Jesus. And I'm like, I want to know this woman. And so, like I said, I got her number and married her. And here's the thing, everybody always asks me, well, are you still tempted? Do you still deal with same-sex attraction? And it's like this big secret. Of course I do. Who isn't tempted? Who isn't tempted whatever area of brokenness you deal with? And when I speak to audiences, I say, what is your issue? Is it drugs? Is it alcohol? Is it pornography? Is it stealing? Is it homosexuality, lesbian? Whatever the sin issue is, it doesn't mean you're never not tempted. Jesus was tempted in every way, yet without sin. But when we're tempted, we get to choose. Am I going to choose to honor God? Am I going to choose to honor my wife? Am I going to choose to honor my children? Or am I going to choose to cheat on my wife or cheat on my family and destroy what I have chosen to live for? So we all have choices. And so I would encourage people, you're not stuck, you have a choice. And it may not be easy, it might be difficult, but it doesn't mean you can't overcome that. And I have found Jesus has helped me overcome these to walk in righteousness. Doesn't mean I might not always make the right decision, but if I mess up, I ask for forgiveness. And that's whatever the sin issue is. Or if I speak unkindly to my wife, I have a choice. I can speak kindly or not. And if I don't, I'm gonna ask for forgiveness. Or if I, yell at my kid and I ask my daughter for forgiveness. So there's a variety of ways we get to choose how we're gonna respond to different issues. So my encouragement to you is this: change is possible. You do not have to be homosexual, gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender. And if you struggle with those issues, look online, look for resources. There's help in people who have journeyed and have left the lifestyle. But that's only if you want to change. God loves us so much, He gave us the freedom to choose. We can choose to live in a way that is contrary to His plan, or we can choose to live how His plan has been, but it's your choice. And you can choose how you want to live. But there are many of us who have chosen to leave homosexuality and walk in freedom, walk in truth, and it's been nothing but blessings and life-giving and been a wonderful experience. And I would love for anybody who's same-sex attracted or even gender confused to walk down a path where that's going to choose life, that's going to choose blessing and really benefit and have an incredible experience because of the choices they've made.